beef steaks, don't worry, big steaks. But he just kept going after God. You see how he just would worship God? So it doesn't matter. I read something recently, and it said, when you make your mistakes, or someone makes a mistake, and God covers it with his blood, be careful you go digging up what the blood of Jesus has covered. Be careful. Because Jacob was and David, they were the kind of guys that just mess up. And then God, but they keep going after, when they get up, they're going after God again. Every time God looks around, guess who's there coming up the road? Jacob, David, those guys never, whatever I did, I can't do nothing about it. God, I'm here, I'm coming after you. There's something about God that I gotta go after. And that was the difference in their life. Anyone else in Genesis, the things you found interesting?
Remember the issue when Jacob wrestled with God. When he just caved and he was sleeping and he started to wrestle with God, and he continued to wrestle. He had a dream where he found this man wrestling with him. And the words were, I will not let you go until you bless me. This was Jacob's words.
Yes.
And he continued to wrestle until his hip joint was out of joint. And after that he started walking, and to me, God changed his name after all that wrestling, which was like a turnaround in his behavior, position, and everything, the way person saw him.
Yes.
And immediately after that, he was going to reach his brother Esau.
Yes.
Right? And then they met and he hugged him and kissed. And even Esau was so afraid about him and the meeting that when he was giving him all these animals and things like that, he started like, I don't think he's going to accept it. Let me just divide half and leave half here, put another half there, and things like that, and see how they have to play. But it was a cordial meeting with them after all of it.
Yes, yes. Anyone else can identify with Jacob? When you you're scared, things happen, and or you do something and fear comes in. Jacob was scared. There's so many times he was just plain old scared. Why do you think he left the house and had to go to Uncle Laban? Because he was scared, because he messed up. He took away Esau's birthright. And that was a big thing. I'm the first child. Esau, Brother Mark, help me understand this, because the twins, twins, I never saw twins. Yeah.
I think we too hard on Jacob at times. Because he had his thing there. He had his pot with his food. And his brother came, and his brother made the deal with him.
Yes, that's true.
He didn't make the deal with his brother. And then when he went in now to his father, his mother forced him.
Let me tell you. You gotta take up responsibility here, Jacob.
That's right.
Jacob, you gotta take some responsibility.
He told his mother, he said, Mommy, I smooth skin and he hairy.
Yes.
I could imagine how he felt when his father said, "You smell like Esau, but the voice is Jacob." I could imagine what went through
We
him.
say there that he was his mother's boy.
Yes.
Yes, and then that happened, that also teaches you, because in some homes, the parents divide.
I think that happened because remember when she was pregnant with him and she was wondering what's going on in here, something funny. God revealed to her that the small one gonna rule the big one. And when she was, when you're in a home, God say X, Y, Z, and you're in a home, and your husband and child know what God say. You can imagine how fearful she was. I think a kind of fear drove her to do that, but it teaches us a lesson that whatever God says He's going to do, we don't have to help Him. Yeah, because she helped it, because I'm sure she remember, it's not Jacob.
She did,
not
she did. She knew that God had said that.
Yes, God said that, and I'm sure that is what drove her to do all those things.
And some things happen, we have no idea why, but it's all, the Bible says, all things work for good to them that love God.
And another thing Pastor,
Yeah.
if you allow me, it shows too that we have to be careful. There are some of us who like to go behind prophecy. If a visitor comes, we want him to lay hand on us and prophesy to us. And whatever they say, we take it for gospel and we running with it. We gotta be careful. Allow God to let it manifest in our lives, not to run behind it. Some people just run. It was prophesied to me that I can be the pastor, and they're moving hell and high water out the church to be the pastor. We gotta be very careful.
Yes, that is true. Prophecy is usually for confirmation of what God has already put into your
Right.
spirit. And not somebody just coming and saying, oh, Sister Barbara, you're going to be married next week to brother somebody. And so Sister Barbara now moved out and gone. If she and brother somebody would already have something, but you know what? Yeah, God is already talking to you that this is what is going to happen in your life. And then so when somebody says it, okay, it's confirmation what God said. A lot of people, the reason why I give that ridiculous example is because a lot of people's lives get messed up like that. Because somebody comes and says, oh, that day you're going to be married to brother so-and-so. And then, they say, oh, okay. And they're going to get married. That happened in our times. When we were younger, it happened, yeah. And then you know what? They go and they get married and then they discover, we have nothing in common. I don't like you. You don't like me. And so it's the biggest mess. And then they end up being divorced, or they live together and they're miserable for the rest of their life. So prophecy is for confirmation. You're right, sister. But, somebody was saying something? Okay. Mark, I was saying that it's twins, I see twins born all the time. And one twin might be, very rarely, you have a twin born weeks before, months before, in the day and age that we live. If they're two, they're not identical, so they have two separate sacs. The one sac broke and the one twin comes out at 28 weeks. They will try and keep that other twin in for as long as they can to take him to term. So that's a different situation. But you have twins born on one night, and one is born like 12:15, and the other one is born at 12:16 or 17. And I'm like, who's older here? 2 minutes? So it doesn't matter, but it's so, I never understood the older and the elder in this Jacob and Esau thing. They were twins. But let's look at Genesis 35 as quickly as we can. 35, 36, 37, but 35, we can look at that. Then God said to Jacob, get ready and move to Bethel and settle there. Build an altar, make an altar unto God. He said, I want you to build an altar. Build an altar there to the God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau. Now, one of the things I want you to notice here is that God knows everything you do.
Amen.
He sees everything you do. He knows your heart, and he knows all about you. When you do the little things that you do, sometimes you get up in the morning, you go outside. Like sometimes I would go outside and I would just talk to God. I like to go, when it's warm, you go to the back door and you just say, God, today is your day. Whatever it is, God is just, he knows everything. He remembers when you don't remember. And he said, you remember when you were running from Esau? You built an altar there? I want you to move back to that place and settle there. And for some of us, God is saying to you tonight, I want you to go back to that place. You remember when you were in trouble and you were coming after me? Remember when if things weren't going well for you, you wanted something from me, and you were just coming after me with all you've got? I want you to go back to that place. I want you to go right back there because that is the place where you and I met. We had such a good relationship. What happened? And so God said to Jacob, I want you to go back. So Jacob, he got up. Say what you like about Jacob. Jacob, Joshua, these guys, they have some things in common. When God talks to them, they're like, hey, everybody, get up, wash your clothes. Get up, we're moving. God said move, we are moving. How many of us can say that? We want the blessings of God. We want to see God move us to the next level, but we're not moving when God says move. We're not doing what God says to do. We want to do what we want to do when we want to do it. So Jacob told everyone in his household, get rid, anyone read this chapter? Get rid of all, he said, Jacob got up and he told everyone in the house, get rid of all your pagan idols, purify yourselves, put on clean clothes. We are now going to Bethel. We are going to the house of God. Bethel means that. Where I will build an altar to the God who answered my prayers when I was in distress. He has been with me wherever I have gone. Has God been with you wherever you have gone? This is such a powerful little word right here. Think about the times when you were in distress. When something happened that you had no idea, God, I don't know how I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to get a rent. I don't know how I'm going to keep my car. I don't know. And you held on to God. God, I don't want to feed my kids. I don't know. And God just came through for you in the most powerful way. And then you just moved right on. And then you forgot. God said, go back there. So Jacob said, you know what? We're going back there to this. And he makes this point. He said, to the God who answered my prayers when I was in distress. Sometimes, let me tell you, the most powerful prayers comes when you're in distress. Because I remember times when I was so distressed. Something on the job, something, and you're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this madness. And he comes through for you. And then we just move right on. God said, I want you to go right back there. And remember, I want to do something with you at that place. So they gave Jacob now, I got to say something here too. Jacob, at this point, is in the wrong place. God did not tell Jacob to, he said, we are going to Bethel. But if we look, I think it's in Genesis 31, when God said to Jacob, I want you to, look at Genesis 31 and verse 13. Genesis 31, 13. Jacob was living with Laban. He has his two wives. What was the name of his wives? Leah and Rachel. He has sons. He has concubines. They have sons. His life is like a real merry mess. and he has lots of children and now, but he's also in all of this experiencing the blessings of God. God is blessing this man in the most remarkable way. So Jacob, he realizes that Laban now is a little jealous of him. Laban's sons are a little jealous, and so they are kind of looking at him kind of funny, and so Jacob is in another dream. In verse 11 of chapter 31, he said, then in my dream, the angel of God said to me, Jacob. And I replied, here I am. Verse 12 of 31, he says, the angel said, look up, and you will see that only the streaked, speckled, and spotted males are mating with the females of your flock, for I have seen how Laban has treated you. That is not something
Amen.
you would think that God would say, he is so, he has deceived his dad, he deceived his brother, I don't care what happened to him. No, God looks at this
Yes.
man and he says, you know what, I'm seeing how Laban is treating him. I'm gonna fix Laban. So let me tell you, this is what I want you to do. He said, I am the God. You see, when you go after God, there is something about that. There is something about when you drop everything and begin to go after God. He doesn't take that lightly. And so, despite all of Jacob's transgressions, and God is seeing this man that he looks at the times when Jacob just worshipped him. When Jacob just left all and just went after him. And God said, I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel. You thought I didn't know about Bethel, that place, when you were running and you stopped there and you just paused there with me? Jacob, I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel. The place where you anointed the pillar of stone and you made your vow to me. Now when Jacob made that vow, he was all alone. He was just by himself, walking with his, he didn't have anything. He just had his staff, and he's walking, and he's trying to find Laban. And I'm thinking about his journey, and I thought to myself, I would have been so scared, because there are wild animals, and so all he has is him, God, and his stick, and maybe something to eat in his little sack. And he stops there, and he anoints the stone. It's just him and nobody else. And God saw, and God remembered. Whatever you do for God, he sees and he remembers. You might even forget, and God remembers. And so he said, now get ready, leave this country, return to the land of your birth. And so Jacob immediately, he calls Leah and what's his sister? Rachel. And he said, hey, we gotta go. He said, I don't know how you girls gonna take this, but I gotta leave your father. He is like acting on there like, no, we're ready to go. He's not even gonna give us anything anyhow. We're ready to go. You just, say the word, we're ready. So God tells Jacob to go back to the place of his birth. Now, on the way there, Jacob, like Grandpa Abraham is his grandfather, right? He makes a stop, and that stop cost Jacob a lot. Jacob should have continued where God told him to go, but he stops in Shechem. What is it? Shechem. He makes that stop. That was a costly stop. When God tells us to do something, we got to just go. And like I told you, the minute you decide I'm going to follow Jesus and I'm going after God, every devil in hell coming after you, because the devil knows that if you can keep your focus, God has so many blessings for you. So if he can divert your attention over here, then you will not, because the devil hates you. He doesn't want you to get what God has for you. So he diverts you, and it looks like if you still can go here and get there, but God is telling you, I want you to go here. Now, in chapter 34, they said that is the most sordid, the most horrible chapter in the book of Genesis. Now, what happens in chapter 34? Dinah, now before we get to that, let's look at 33 and 16. Jacob is traveling, and he comes to this place, and he said, hey, I'm gonna, he met with Esau, like Sister Janice pointed out. He was scared, Esau and him make peace. That's another situation. He's so scared because he knows what he did many years ago, and he is like praying, God, please let everything go well with me here, with me and my brother. My brother can kill me, and what's going to happen to my family? He can kill my family, because, and I know that, and he's older now, and well deserved if he kills me, but please spare us. God works a miracle. Esau and him have a great meeting, and Jacob stops. And so Esau turned around in verse 16 and started back to, everybody following?
Yeah.
Everybody good? So Esau is going back now, meets his brother, he's going back. Jacob, on the other hand, traveled on to Succoth. And there he built himself a house and made Genesis 33 and verse 16. Genesis 33:16. And look what Jacob does here. He built himself a house in verse 17 and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place was named Succoth, which means shelters. Later, having traveled all the way from Padanaram, Jacob arrived safely at the town of Shechem in the land of Canaan. There he set up camp outside the town, and he bought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver, and he built an altar, and he named it El Elohe Israel. So he paused in what God has told him to do. Now, in chapter 34, they said in this whole chapter, there is not one mention of God. Did you see that? There is not a single mention of God anywhere in chapter 34. And then when we go to chapter 35, there is mention of God everywhere. There is God, there is Israel, there is Bethel, there is always, because, when we think that we can take God out of our lives, or we can put him aside for a while, we run into big trouble. Because life doesn't work like that. And Jacob found this out. One day, Dinah, in verse 34, the daughter of Jacob and Leah, when, Dad paused, Dad builds a nice house. You know how girls are, teenage girls. Oh, my friend, come, we're gonna go walking and see the place. In the afternoon, after you finish your work, you put on your nice little dress, put your powder in front and back, and you go on walking, and Dad is busy. It's a nice place, so she is walking. And she went to visit some of the women in the area. These are not Israelites. These are a different set of people. But children, teenagers, oh hi, I'm Dinah. That's my father. His name is Jacob. We're just hanging out there for a while, and we're going someplace. But the local prince, Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, saw Dinah. He seized her and raped her. This is a terrible situation happening right here. But then he fell in love with her, and he tried to win her affection with tender words. He said, he's sorry now. He's like, oh, but I love this girl. I'm going to marry her. So, Dad, I did something that was wrong. I raped this girl, but now I want to marry the girl. And get me this young girl. I want to marry her. So to make a long story short, Dad goes to Jacob and he says, this is the situation. Your daughter is at my house. My son raped your daughter, but we want to have a wedding. We're not going to just disgrace her. We're going to make this right. And Jacob is like, well, he don't know what to do. He should not have been there, but this is a situation here. Jacob is like, he don't know what to do. Dinah's brother's coming now, and they're like, what? Where's our sister? Well, what happened is that, and he explained, oh, okay, that ain't happening. And they decide to plot against these people. So they said to the people there, this is what we're gonna do. Now, is the Bible we're reading, not a story I'm telling you. So they said, here what? We're gonna, no, they're gonna deceive their dad. So they said to their dad, this is what we're gonna do. We can't have any relationship with these people in this land if they're not circumcised. We're all circumcised, so they have to be circumcised. So they tell the men there now, just go circumcise everybody. And once you're circumcised, we'll have the wedding and we'll be one big happy family. The father of the boy is like, oh great. So he goes home and he says, hey guys, everybody got to be circumcised because the people are going to live with us and the man is blessed, so we're going to be blessed too. So once you do all that, everything is going to be great for us. And so they all get circumcised. Now when you circumcise, you can't fight. It's a lot of pain. You got to have a time for
Especially the way they
healing.
did it. Yeah.
Huh?
Especially the way they did it.
Especially the way they did it. There was no anesthesia. There was nothing. Chop. So, use your imagination. So they are in a lot of pain, and Jacob's sons go in while they're in a lot of pain, kill all those. How are you gonna fight when you're in that much pain? So he killed the man, his sons, all the men there, take the wives that they wanted, and it was the biggest mess. Now Jacob is at home, and he has no idea that all of this is going on. They said he had a nerve to defile our sister, and so that's what they did. So, afterwards, verse 30, Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, this is 34:30. If you look at verse 27, meanwhile the rest of Jacob's sons arrived, finding the men slaughtered, they plundered the town because their sister had been defiled there. They seized all the flocks, the herds, the donkeys, everything they could lay their hands on, both inside the town and outside in the fields. They looted all their wealth, plundered their houses. They also took all the little children and wives and led them away as captives. Now afterwards, Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, his two oldest sons, you have ruined me. You made me stink among all the people of this land, among all the Canaanites and the Perizzites. We are so few. They will join forces and crush us. I will be ruined, and my entire household will be wiped out. And they said, well, why did you let him treat our sister as a prostitute? So that's how we get to this place now, where God says to Jacob, Jacob, get ready. God doesn't even address the situation here in the Bible, but Jacob was very brokenhearted over the whole situation. I have no idea why Jacob's first address wasn't about Dinah. He didn't address, oh wait a minute, what, he didn't, at least in the Bible here, he did, but he must have been brokenhearted about his daughter, what happened to her. But he's more upset about the deception that his sons did to the people of the land. And so he says, God said he must have gone to God. And God said, Jacob, get ready. Chapter 35, verse 1. Move to Bethel and settle there. Settle yourself in the house of God. Just settle yourself before me. Build an altar there to the God who appeared to you when you fed. You see the whole scenario here now? God says, you should have been in Shechem. I didn't tell you to come here. I wanted you to go straight. You're the one who stopped. Let's just get up and keep going to Bethel. So Jacob tells everyone, listen, get rid of all your pagan idols, because the stop caused them to also start doing stuff that the people in the land were doing. So now they have idols in their house. Jacob said, here, get rid of all this stuff that you got. Put on clean clothes, purify yourselves, get baths, just let's get rid of all this stuff we've been doing, and let's turn ourselves around and start focusing on God. I don't know what you got from this, but this is what I got from it, is that sometimes we can find ourselves in a place where we didn't need to be, where I don't want to be, and I don't, someone came this morning to me when I was trying to leave work, and they were telling me about a very bad situation they're in a marriage, and I told them, I said, one of the things I have learned in my 65 years is that there are some things that I can't control, there are some things I can't do anything about. And you know what? I have to leave it to God. So I told my friend that is talking to me, I said, when there are things that you cannot control, you just leave it to God. I think Jacob is at this place. I don't know what to do about this madness that has happened here. Did you get this picture? All the men in this place are dead. If these people were living their good lives, until Jacob made that stop. The man's son made the most horrible mistake he could have made. He raped Jacob's daughter, and all hell broke loose after that. Now, it cost them, none of the women have husbands, all the young men are dead, the country is over. And so Jacob doesn't know what to do with this situation. God comes to Jacob and he said, get ready. Just move to the place where I wanted you to be in the first place. Just come back to me. Just get before me. Just get to the place where you anointed that stone. The place where you just lay your head there when you had nothing. Remember? Just go back there, Jacob. And just let me and you get together. I'm still going to bless you. I'm still going to make your life the greatest life there is. I have great plans, as crazy as this is here. I have wonderful plans ahead for you. But Jacob, at this time, he doesn't even know what the plan is nor care. All he knows is, I don't know what to do here. And God told me, he said, I want you to go. So Jacob, he said, get rid of all the idols, get rid of everything. I don't want it. Don't bring it with you. And they moved. Eventually, Jacob and all his household arrived at Luz, also called Bethel in Canaan. And Jacob built an altar there and named the place El Bethel, which means the God of Bethel. He worshiped God because God had appeared to him there when he was fleeing from his brother. So he's back there where he remembered when I was in a bad place the last time. This is where I met God. And now I'm in a bad place again, and I am going to build an altar here, and I'm just going to worship you, God. And God met him there, and God just changed Jacob's life. Sister Janice was right. I think when Jacob met God and he began to wrestle with God, Jacob, he was never the same after that. He was never the same. Now, one thing I have to say is that sometimes we go through stuff for a reason. We go through some stuff and we have no idea. Why am I going through this? It looks like I'm always going through stuff. It's for a reason.
Amen.
God has you going through there for a reason. Jacob became